Hi and welcome back. I'm Caroline and this is my partner Zor. Welcome back to Everything Horses and More YouTube channel and video library. So this month we've been working on the theme Ride Smart, Ride Natural, and Ride Well. And this is part 3, and we are going to be talking about and explaining and demonstrating the third purpose or principle to this month's theme of riding smart, natural, and well. And it is the approach. So in last week's learning, we discussed the second important area or principle to learning how to ride well, naturally, and intelligently, smart, and that was being mindful. Today I will be discussing and demonstrating the third area, like I just said, and that is the approach we take to riding. So this month I'm dedicating videos each week to the principles and building blocks, the ABCs of riding smart, naturally, and well. I'll be selecting one major perspective each week and focusing on what's important to our confidence as a rider so we can create positive learning experiences with our riding partners, our horses. So for today's video, training in 5 minutes or less, training success in 5 minutes or less. In our third principle, we're going to focus on finding the right approach to riding well. We're going to pick one specific exercise at the end of me explaining here, talking, Zor and me, an exercise that a lot of you can relate to, and I'm going to talk about and demonstrate my approach with Zor, my approach to teaching him and accomplishing what I need to teach. Approach means finding a way of dealing with something or a way of doing or thinking about something. What's your approach to handling a situation? Any situation. And specifically in these videos, they are teaching moments. They're learning moments for both you and your horse, and they're teaching moments as well. Like mindfulness, approach requires a sense of feeling of and awareness about a situation. Most horse training and instruction teaches us to focus on completing a required task and with laser tunnel vision and focus. We're rewarded for completing the task no matter what the cost is, even if it means we fight and make our horses comply through excessive force, pain, and repetition. When we fight, when we fight with our horses, we create tension in our minds, our bodies, and in our horses. Our horses lose trust in us too. How can we ride naturally and well if we are riding our horses' tension, defensiveness, or fear? An example would be forcing our horse to give to our rein aids. We're taught to pull, and if our horse pushes back, doesn't give or yield, we're taught to pull harder, or worse yet, yank repeatedly. I see this all the time on YouTube. And a lot of my students, when they come and work with me one-on-one, a lot of you are very sensitive to that, which is beautiful, meaning you don't want to pull on your horse. And so you carry a really loose rein. But at the same time, if your horse does anything that scares you, they do anything suddenly, first thing you do is yank and pull. So it's a very unconscious, subconscious reflex that's taught to us no matter what. It still exists, even if you think you have light reins and light hands. So I'm going to discuss and show you how to handle that and teach your horse when we get done here, when I mount Zor. So can you relate to what I'm talking about? Do you have a particular riding situation where you were told to make your horse do something you felt they didn't understand, and as a consequence, your horse was treated unfairly? I think we all can relate to at least one of those experiences. Most horses eventually give through learned helplessness. That's not healthy. Horses by nature don't like confrontation, and they will prefer a passive solution. But the horses that challenge us have it the worst, and they're often beat into a form of submission. This is really sad. I think approach is the biggest principle I try to teach in all of my work. It's always about your approach and your mindset, your mindfulness. Taking a different and better approach to teaching your horse to give to your rein aids not only feels right for both you and your horse, it's also the mark of good horsemanship. Most of all, a horse can't learn when they are stressed. Just like us, they can't learn. They learn best when we create open learning opportunities, an open learning frame of mind. Only then can we teach and they're able to learn, when they're open. A good horseman, horsewoman, honors and respects the horse as a sentient being. They also honor the horse as a teacher, not just a student, allowing the horse to give them feedback. This is how you build trust and confidence, through being mindful of the best approach necessary to create success for both you and your horse. You also create trust and confidence when you allow your horse to express themselves and give you the type of feedback. You're not going to get feedback if you're pushing your horse and you're making your horse do something. The following quotes are from the late great master of classical riding, Nuno Oliveira. They relate to the rider's feel for and of his horse and the tact that should be applied when riding. The perfect understanding between the rider and his horse is this, Nuno said. A horseman not only must ride, but also must observe, study, and think deeply, must be rational and calm in their method and approach, and never brutal or forceful. They must possess great tact, the virtue above all virtues. He also states, ask for much, be content with little, and reward often. I'm going to show you what that will look like in just a little bit. So tactful execution allows for a focused approach, but not an overarching goal. With a tactful plan, a person is focused on utilizing a particular component in all aspects of their plan. It is less focused on why someone is doing something and more focused on how they are receiving the information. So that's the general definition of tact, which is similar to your approach. You're taking a tactful approach. So as many of you already know, I was an ardent student of Nuno's teachings for many years. I still am. While I never got to study with him in person, I have studied his writings and his students' writings about him for years. And I studied them until I could feel what he was teaching. And that's why I'm sharing these quotes with you, because they mean so much to me as a student and a teacher. One of the most poignant themes throughout his work relates to the rider's approach to teaching and training horses. Nuno emphasized the horse's willingness to please, and only if he was given the chance to express himself without judgment or punitive measures, punishment. A happy, joyful horse will show you his willingness to work through his eagerness to please you, the ease in which he is guided, and the level of relaxation. So when a horse is easily guided while you're teaching them and they are relaxed, that speaks volumes for you. And that's what you should always be looking for. Doesn't matter if you're riding or on the ground. Do you have connection? What is connection? Is your horse relaxed? Do you have feedback? An unhappy, distrustful horse will be resistant, unmotivated, and defensive. So which do you ride? And how does it show up? So in a little bit, I'm going to mount Zor, and I'm going to give you a specific example of my approach to teaching Zor, and I'll talk about what I'm going to be teaching him. And you guys will be able to do this at home as well. But before I do, remember, make every moment with your horse purposeful and teachable. And before we sign off, what can you do with your horse that, one, creates training success in 5 minutes or less? What can you take from this video and have success? And success isn't just one day. You do it enough so that anytime you ask for it, it's there. The foundation is there. The mental and muscle memory is there. And number two, what can you do with your horse that creates a foundation of knowledge, skill, and partnership? Remember, this is a snippet of the full-length video, which can be found in my Everything Horses and More video library. And if you'd like to learn more about this, we are releasing our new beginner rider course this month, any day now. And of course, if you want the complete program from ground to riding, start to finish, rehabilitation, my Mastery Membership Riding Foundation program offers it all. Thank you, and may you always be one with your horse. All right. So real quick, I'm going to just interject something here with Zor. It's a really windy day today in Florida, and Zor has come a long way from being the spooky, unpredictable horse at the age of 4 and 5 years ago on my YouTube channel. But if you all notice, Zor was a little more, he's relaxed through his top line while I was speaking into the camera just a little while ago, but he was a little up, right? Still, like the ears were forward and he was just a little more aware. Right now he's relaxed again, you can tell. But what makes a horse like super hyper vigilant or reactive during windy days? What makes a horse really reactive, spooky, hyper vigilant? My Mastery Membership Riding Foundation program offers it all. Thank you, and may you always be one with your horse. All right. So real quick, I'm going to just interject something here with Zor. It's a really windy day today in Florida, and Zor has come a long way from being the spooky, unpredictable horse at the age of 4 and 5 years ago on my YouTube channel. But if you all notice, Zor was a little more, he's relaxed through his top line while I was speaking into the camera just a little while ago, but he was a little up, right? Still, like the ears were forward and he was just a little more aware. Right now he's relaxed again, you can tell. But what makes a horse like super hyper vigilant or reactive during windy days? What makes a horse really reactive, spooky, hyper vigilant during a windy day? So I'll answer that if you don't know. So hearing is a sense, right? We all have the sense of hearing. And for horses, smell and hearing are two of their strongest senses. And on windy days, the wind interferes with both. What they can smell, it interferes, and what they can hear. Come, Bibs. Come get Mama. Come on. Come on, lazy. So as you guys can see, Zor's a bit lazy. So that's why I have my dressage whip, because this is going to be what I refer to as an additional aid, and it'll be my strongest and last aid. I will not use this unless he just does not listen to the subtlety of my body or my cluck. All right, sweetheart. Now we're going to go. Good. That was a nice go. I didn't have to get any bigger. He matched my seat. So there's a great example of approach that you take. Now, I'm going to be working on some advanced riding skills in this lesson. One of them is going to be going deep in my corners or pockets of this 20-meter circle arena. Yep, that was my foot that hit the post, going deep and lifting his shoulder through. So the key with this is basically a shoulder in and around your corners. So I don't expect you guys to learn what I'm talking about, but I do hope that you learn my approach. So what I want Zor to do is not fall in as we make our turn. I don't want him to drop a shoulder to the left. I want him to hold his weight with his hind end as I lift his shoulder. And so the approach that I'm going to take is always let him stretch to start out as light as I want to end up. So now I'm going to show you, like I did last week, how miserable. I'm going to show you the opposite of not having an approach and just making him comply. So I'm going to make him get a fast walk, and I'm going to push him into the corners, and I'm going to make him lift that shoulder. I'm just going to make it. Let's see how ugly it gets. Again, that's all about your approach. It's a mindset, it's an attitude. Good boy. And it's very similar, akin to mindfulness. All right. Thank you. I look forward to your comments, questions, and if you want to share, I'd love to hear your stories and your moments, your positive moments, your frustrations. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you, and may you always be one with your horse.